It's time for the drive with Q on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. Now, here's Q.
Good evening, everyone. Couple minutes as we are approaching the 5 o'clock hour, a Man Up Monday edition of the Drive with Q, coming at you live inside the friendly confines of the Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game studios, Coastal Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones, mi hermano Angel Martinez behind the glass, producing the show, keeping us on the air. 60-plus minutes to play with. You out there as well, 727-858-6650. That'll get you involved in 2A Sports Talk. Bring something to the table on this 16th of December, 2024. And I will tell you this, on a Man Up edition of the Drive with Q on this Monday, another wild, ridiculously freakish freaking weekend in the world of sports, i.e. the NFL. And you know, we love to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we will get to that. We'll recap the picks. We'll see. We have a little bit of time for a little college football, a little NBA, which we'll probably sprinkle in the rest of the week. Got some show announcements to make as well. But hope everyone had a good sports Monday and you had a very good sports weekend. And here we are, 15 pretty much weeks almost in the books. You get the double dip in the NFL tonight: Bears, Vikings, Falcons, Raiders. Now, why are these games important? The Bears-Vikings game is important because of what transpired yesterday with the Eagles getting the win over the Steelers and, of course, Detroit falling to Buffalo. Vikings sit at 11-2. They want to put pressure on those teams, and they're vying for that top seed in the NFC. Falcons and the Raiders. Why is that important? Because the Raiders are 2-11. The Giants didn't show up once again yesterday. Jacksonville lost a game. Titans are losing games left and right, and this is the race to number one, tankathon for the top pick, overall pick in the NFL in April's draft. As far as the games that were played over the weekend, this is we should just now put it in the books. Just put it in the books right now that the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the NFL. And I've been saying that now for the last couple weeks. Josh Allen is not human. I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's an alien. I don't know if he was part of, I don't know if they dropped him off one of the drones. I don't know. But I can tell you this. He is, at this moment, he is the best player in the National Football League. He is also playing the quarterback position. I would say it's some of the highest level that we've seen over the last 15 to 20 years. You want to say that he's freakishly athletic and talented? You might say he's the most talented quarterback that the NFL has seen or has ever seen or has seen over the last 25, 30 years. What he's doing right now, basically, he's single-handedly telling the Buffalo Bills, get the frig on my shoulders, get on my back. Enough is enough. Let's make a run through the AFC. Let's get to the Super Bowl, and let's do something we've never been able to do, even those great teams in the 90s going back to back to back to back, and that's win the damn thing. And Allen is playing at such a superb level. That was a hell of a game to watch yesterday against the Detroit Lions. Now, unfortunately, if you're a Lions fan, you're getting snake bitten. You're dealing with a boatload of injuries that I just don't know if you can overcome. And I tweeted this out yesterday. You know, I'm a big Dan Campbell fan, but I also believe in today's NFL, there is a line that is drawn when it comes to being aggressive and just a dumb play call and not having common sense and understanding situational football. Yesterday, we saw that in the Bills and the Lions game. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that decision for Dan Campbell to kick an onside kick only down 10 with 12 minutes to go cost the Lions the number one seed in the NFC. I'm not about to go that far. I'm just not. But you also have to start to wonder now, man, you got to put that on him. You got to put that on him. They had a hell of a run. You know, I text my buddy, he's a Lions fan. He said, look, all the injuries, the D-line, the secondary, try to get the ball. You weren't going to stop the Bills. We loved the over in that game. The total 48-42 is how it ended. That's a tough loss for the Detroit Lions. And then conversely, you have to watch the Philadelphia Eagles in a game where What did we say on Friday? I think I jokingly said force feed the ball to A.J. Brown, 8 receptions, a buck 22, and 2 scores. Now, I don't know if yesterday was more about the Philadelphia Eagles or was yesterday more about the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers got mauled. They got manhandled. And that game turned on the Harris fumble, and the Philadelphia Eagles gave the Pittsburgh Steelers several opportunities to take control of that football game. And they didn't, and they go into the locker room. Eagles do up 17-13. They get 10 more in the second half. Obviously, they have a couple really nice drives. A lot of 3-and-outs by the Steelers. 27-13. The Eagles win it. They are now a very impressive 12-2 at home. They are on a ridiculous friggin' run. They really are. And the other thing is this. I don't believe right now the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. I told you, I think it's the Buffalo Bills. I feel it's the Buffalo Bills. But did the Eagles prove yesterday that they are now the best team in the NFC, or at least 1-2 would say Buffalo? You have to take in consideration that the Lions lost to the best team, according to me, in the Buffalo Bills. Are we going to stack Kansas City there? Are we going to stack Minnesota there? Insert team, because there's only a couple of them. I think what the Eagles showed you yesterday, and this typically happens when you have a nonsense, right? Just a goofy week. This always happens. And you guys, let me give credit where credit is due. You guys called this, except for a couple of the Steelers fans that chime in. You guys pretty much called this on Friday. Philadelphia was going to wax Pittsburgh. I mean, let's be honest. Steelers couldn't do anything offensively. And the Philadelphia Eagles, even with Saquon Barkley, I mean, Sirianni can sit there and say, we're going to give him a rest and a blow. We know he's full of it. We'll get to Sirianni and the sideline antics again. But the Philadelphia Eagles showed you that when you go mano a mano in the box, in the trenches, and you punch teams in the mouth, they'll take a punch and they'll throw a couple punches. And Jalen Hurts yesterday, listen, the numbers speak for themselves with Jalen Hurts. He might not blow you away. He might not dazzle you. He might not put up the gaudy, sexy numbers. But you know what Jalen Hurts hasn't done in 7 games, 6 games? He hasn't turned the ball over. He hasn't had a pick. Now, again, fumbles are a different animal here and there. It happens when you're going against a very good defensive team in Pittsburgh. And he's been efficient. He quietly has 18 passing touchdowns and just 5 picks, not to mention all the rushing touchdowns. But yesterday, they got A.J. Brown into the mix. They got Smith into the mix. They punched the Steelers in the mouth. The Steelers couldn't take advantage of some turnovers by the Philadelphia Eagles. They couldn't generate any type of offense. And the Eagles now, you have to say, are putting pressure on the Detroit Lions for that top seed in the NFC. By the way, is there any other coach in the NFL who is not treated like a NFL head coach than Nick Sirianni? I mean, the nonsense again yesterday. And Brady, shut up with the big Dom, the friggin' jackass on the sidelines. I mean, what the hell happened between Sirianni and Jalen Carter? What the hell happened with Sirianni and an assistant? I think it was one of the D-line coaches. I mean, this guy's not even treated like an NFL head coach, which is hilarious. I mean, this guy took this team to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. And I'm not a Sirianni fan. You guys know that. But I've never seen over the last 20-something odd years where a guy gets in so many drama-filled situations on the sidelines with fans, with players, with his own freaking coaching staff. But in a week that was filled with Brandon Graham's comments, Hurts, Brown, this is what happens in the NFL. You go out, you win a game, you ball out, you put it behind you, you move forward. And that's exactly what the Eagles did. And you look around the NFL right now, I told you guys this a couple weeks ago. You are seeing now the teams that are making business decisions. You are seeing some of these bad teams try to hang around and then just roll over in the second half. You're seeing it. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Carolina, my Giants, which I'll talk about them in a moment. because that's just another debacle. I don't even know where to begin with that. But this is where we're at with the NFL. You got 4 or 5 really good teams. You have some sleeper picks, some sleeper teams. And you look at the quarterbacking play, and Lamar Jackson was brilliant yesterday in that game for Baltimore. Now, granted, it was against a bad Giant team, but Lamar Jackson was just like a video game. I mean, this is what Lamar Jackson does. I feel as though we're not even talking about him when it comes to MVP candidate in the NFL. And he's one of the most special talents out there. All Lamar Jackson did yesterday was 21 to 26 for 290 and 5 friggin' touchdowns. That's it. And then he added 65 on the ground. And Baltimore won going away 35-14. They routed the Giants. That game wasn't even close. DeVito gets knocked out, have a cutlet, and then you got Tim Boyle. Couldn't even let him marinate, let alone cook. So here we are right now. Kansas City, the injury to Patrick Mahomes, and typically around this time we'll see the Mahomes limp, right? The drama that is Kansas City. They won again. But man, when you start to establish your identity and you start to establish your will, and we get to December, this is where you really separate the boys from the men in the NFL. This is where you say to yourself, hey man, you're not on the same level. You're not on the same level. And we're seeing it right now. Josh Allen, MVP. I know it's week to week in the NFL. I get it. I understand. 1 week, bad week, Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. I get it. Come at me, man up Monday. That's fine. But you're starting to see teams really separate themselves. And you've got the pretenders, you got the contenders, and you got the frauds. And I think right now, teams like Denver, nice story, pretenders. Steelers, nice story, frauds. Eagles, Kansas City, Buffalo, Detroit, contenders. Minnesota, I would say contender. And that's kind of where we're at. And look, the MVP race, I think it's going to be fascinating. I do. But I also look, man, does Josh Allen have a ground game like Baltimore? Does Josh Allen have weapons like the Ravens? Josh Allen's the MVP. 727-858-6650. A couple minutes past 5 o'clock hour on the East Coast. We'll take you guys up to 727-858-6650. We'll get to your comments on the other side. We're just cranking up on a Man Up Monday edition of The Drive with Q. Rich Quinones here. We are powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. Don't forget Zen Auto Concepts, our drive of the game, the #1 detailing shop in Florida. Play it against Sports 1450 Clemens Bridge Road in Deptford, New Jersey. Buy used sports equipment and more. And of course, our new partnership, which we will talk about later on in the show with Critical Sports and Entertainment, a wonderful marketing agency up in New York. All right, 727-858-6650. Your comments on the other side, your time to shine, and also to go back and forth and argue with me and get me aggravated on a Monday, because I'm already aggravated because once again, I have to just deal with Giant fans who are just beside themselves because they lost. Yes, it's ugly. Yes, it's annoying. Yes, I get frustrated, but this is what you want. And I can tell you right now who I don't want. And I will say this. He was in New York on Saturday during the Heisman Trophy presentation. 727-858-6650. We'll take you up to 6. Keep it locked in. Quickie timeout.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Download the Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game app and tell your friends that Florida has a new leader in digital sports radio.
Even Bumper Guys got a little juice on a Monday edition of The Drive with Q. Coming at you live inside the friendly confines of the SR 102.9 The Game studio, Southwest Florida's newest game in town, part of the Coastal Sports Network. Hey, capture us on YouTube as well, Broad Street South, and of course my channel. You can just really Google still Rich Q on Q or Rich Quinones. Also, you'll catch Lloyd Vance's Insider Football later tonight, and you can capture that on my YouTube channel as well. All right, 727-858-6650. Let's see what the commentors have to say. Oh, here we go. What's I was thinking about GPG yesterday. What's up, Q? So what do you think about the Bucks? You still think they're frauds? The Bucks. They're such an enigma. Tampa Bay is such an enigma. I'm watching the game yesterday, right? I'm kind of going around, and there's a great service out there. It's called Top Streams. Now you just got to click the advertisement button a couple times, but it enables you to get a lot of the games. Well, pretty much all the games. You'll thank me, guys and girls. Again, you get all the games for free. So I'm sitting there and I'm flipping around and I see Tampa Bay. And I said to myself, GPG, gas pump guys got to be pumped up right now because Baker's not throwing picks. They're getting in the end zone. Here we go. Putting up a lot of points. I was shocked. I had the Chargers. That was one of my picks. So again, got to man up. They absolutely lambasted. Mayfield threw for what? 4 touchdown passes yesterday. Second half, they ran away. They're going to win a soft division. So yes, I'll give credit where credit is due. I will give credit where credit is due. 727-858-6650. Preach on the Eagles' dominance. Listen, I thought the Steelers were going to win the game. That's over too. I feel like the theme is me having a bad week. Real quick, let me just go through them. We had the Chargers. We took the over in Buffalo and Detroit. We said that on Friday. That was a gimme, right? Correct. We had the Chiefs on the road. Remember, I jokingly said don't even touch the Giants, and I think you guys know who I'm talking to and about. Ravens covered, and we had Jacksonville. So that's a bad stretch. I think my quote was, no friggin' way the Jets should be 4.5, 5-point favorite on the road against Jacksonville. So there you have that. And then I believe we had Arizona. So not the best Friday of Q's pick. 727-858-6650. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Eagles were dominant, right? Good afternoon, Penguin. Appreciate you, my friend, for checking in as always. It was a nice win. A really nice win. Eagles were easy money. It took a while, but we can finally see the different levels of all those good teams are on. Yes, absolutely. 100%. This is, you start to separate yourself in the NFL. It's exactly what you do. You really start to separate yourself in the NFL. And if you can run the football, if you can get to the quarterback and you have really high level quarterback in play, and that's what we're seeing. Jared Goff playing at a high level, Lamar Jackson, high level, Josh Allen at a high level, Darnold for most of the season, high level. But I will say this because I see some comments coming in regarding the MVP, and Joe D in Summers Point chiming in on Facebook hits me up, and he says it's week to week with the NFL MVP. I think it's going to come down to the last week of the season. It should go to a quarterback. It always goes to a quarterback. I don't think this season's going to be any different. If you look at the odds, again, you can have a Jared Goff bad game, and then you can have a 500-yard passing game, and that will jettison you, or you can be one of those favorites like that. It changes. Did Lamar Jackson close the gap on Josh Allen? Yes. If you're taking it purely from a gambling betting standpoint, this is what the odds makers will see, right? Because Allen is still the favorite. I mean, Allen's sitting there like minus 6, 7, 800, whatever it is. I think his best odds were minus 900. What does that tell you? And then Lamar Jackson is plus 750. Jared Goff is plus 2,500. Like, if Jared Goff throws for 500 and they win and they keep running the table, that's a hell of a pick. That's a hell of a futures. But Josh Allen, to me, right now, is the MVP. I think he's the best. He's the best football player on the planet right now. And it's not. 2 weeks ago, Q said Lamar played himself out of the MVP race. This is what I'm saying. Must you guys take everything I say? So literally, Jackson must have played his way. He did. He did. Oh my God, come on. Yeah, he did. I feel like we're flipping pigeons already. Yep. Here's a conversation. They go back and forth, these two goofballs. Yes, he did. But, whoa. What's up, brother? All right, I'm going to throw this question out for you guys. If you really objectively look at these two teams, say Baltimore and Buffalo, are you honestly, objectively going to tell me that Josh Allen has better weapons than Lamar Jackson? Be fair now. Be fair. He's got that one kid, that wide receiver, Shakira, right? Shakira. He's got Coleman. He's got a decent ground game, but does it rival Derrick Henry? Does it rival Flowers? Does it rival, their tight end, who's a freaking beast? Lamar Jackson has weapons, man. So if we're sitting there and we're going to encapsulate both, and we're going to say, okay, he's closed the gap because he put up gaudy numbers, and you should do that against some bad teams. And you want to sit there and say, well, look at Detroit's secondary. Yeah, but I can say, look at all these injuries. Look at all these injuries in the secondary, the defensive line, the ends. Now you lose a running back. I get it. He was going to be able to put up some points yesterday, but every time Detroit answered, Josh Allen went right down the field and he answered back. Look what he did 2 weeks ago. They should have won that football game if it wasn't for the head coach. Josh Allen is the MVP. He's the best quarterback. He's the best football player in the NFL right now, hands down. You want to go 1A, 1B? You can debate and argue with me until the cows come home. And I believe the Bills right now are the best team in the NFL. They're playing at a ridiculously high level. Come on, man. You don't go into Detroit and wallop them like that. You just don't. And they did. And listen, Dan Campbell needs to take a hit. I'm sorry. You don't onside kick with 12 minutes to go. You just don't. And the St. Brown, the fumble off the reception turned the tide of the game. But that's the NFL. It happens. Pittsburgh Steelers are driving. Here you go. Let's make it a game. Toss pitch. Here you go to Najee Harris. What happens? He fumbles. It changes the complexion of the game. It's the NFL. You have to overcome it. The Lions, the injuries right now, they are mounting up. They are. Teams like the Eagles, Minnesota starting to get a little healthy. Kansas City now has to deal with Patrick Mahomes. Team like Buffalo starting to get a little healthy. That's the NFL. That is the NFL. Do you think if Baker didn't have 15 interceptions, he would be talked more about in the MVP conversation? No, I don't. I think Baker Mayfield, it's a really good question. I think Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback. I think Baker Mayfield has a ton of heart and grit, and he's a gamer. And I know we don't like that phrase, but I don't mind it. He's a gamer. He's as tough as they come, man. And he's found a home with Tampa. But I also look at Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay has a pretty good offense the last time I checked. Bucky Irving's a hell of a running back. White's a hell of a running back. Oh, by the way, you got Mike Evans, right? You got a pretty good tight end. I mean, Baker's put up some really nice numbers, and I'm not convinced that is a very strong division. Now, I know what you guys are about to say. We'll look at the AFC East. Jets are down, Patriots stink, and Miami's had all those injuries. Mayfield has put together a really, really nice season, and he's earning the contract that he got paid. But I can't put Baker Mayfield on the same level as Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. You want to argue top 10, top 12? Okay. But look what these guys are doing. I mean, sometimes you just have to sit back. There was a throw that Allen made. I believe it was a 3rd and 13, and Detroit had all the momentum. They cut it to 10, and he just a flick of the wrist right down the sideline, just right in the wide receiver's breadbasket. I mean, it was a friggin' dime. It was an MVP type of throw. It was an MVP type of throw. And I think this is his year, folks. And I think Buffalo has a really good shot to go far. Now, I don't know if Buffalo is going to go as far as other people, might not think they're going to. I believe they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. They can represent the AFC. They can represent the AFC. 727-858-6650. And oh, by the way, here's also another interesting little tidbit. Remember a couple years ago when everyone was talking about Josh Allen and the turnovers and Brian Daboll, the quarterback whisperer? How's that working out right now for Dabes? How's that working out right now? Is it just possible that Josh Allen always had talent? And maybe he just needed the right head coach or to cultivate that a little bit? I'm not going to say that Daboll didn't help limit some of those turnovers, but the decision-making, right? You mature as a quarterback. Sanders and Neighbors had some chemistry going in them in the streets. I will address that a little later because I know you other guys are going to chime in. Yeah, we got exactly old school. I got like 25 of these. I got to rotate them. What's up, Q? Good evening. Question for you, Joseph. Did you pull some coin in shekels with your asinine comment and bet on Friday that you're going to take the Giants in a money line? And I believe the comment was, what the F? Oh, hold on a second. Can we get hold on. What is it? Giants plus 16. I should have listened to you. I see my man Vince popping up, the Steelers fan. Yeah, 520. Took him 20 minutes to chime in. Wonder if he's how's he feeling right now? We're not giving credit to the X-Man. You were right. And I'll get drug tested immediately, but I can confirm it's TCH. That's man. Mike Tomlin was not happy with the officiating. The officiating across the board yesterday. And I'm sure you guys who might bet on some of these games or just play fantasy football or watch, can we stop with this? Explain to me, why are these players celebrating before they cross the end line? And then you have, okay, ball goes out of bounds, touchback, it goes back the other way. The one game that really screwed the betting public was the Saints and Washington game. I know a lot of people that lost money on that game, and the Saints got the benefit of a little late stoppage and then a little added time on with the clock to get an opportunity to score the potential game tying touchdown. And then obviously it went for 2 and it failed. Washington hung on for dear life, but the NFL, man, this is where we are at. I mean, I see it every week with some of these plays. The defenseless receiver. How about yesterday, right? You sit there and we're talking about these quarterbacks and we're talking about the wide receivers. And I believe Greg Olsen brought up the point. If I'm a DB, you know what I do? I just let the receiver catch it and then I crack them, because either way, I'm going to get called for a penalty, even if I don't crack them, or if the ball's not even in the area of being caught. And he's right. He is right. I mean, I look at some of these calls in these games and it happens every year. It's like a precursor of things to come. we always sit there and say, hey, this coach is going to screw it up, but these refs are going to cost somebody a game late December in the playoffs. Yeah. What's the point of having to go to New York? I text my buddy yesterday. I was like, why do you have Dean Blandino in the friggin' booth when he doesn't know what he's talking about? Oh, that's definitely going to be overturned. No, it's not. Like, they're so adamant. They're so cocky with offsides every single play, pass interference every single play. Quarterback sliding. Does he not slide? Does he, quote, give himself up? Does he fake slide? Crown of the head, leading in with the forearm. Every single solitary week. 727-858-6650. Last time I took the Giants plus double digits. I don't know. But why would you do that? Like, what possessed you to take the Giants? They're bad. They're horrible. I mean, I argue with people. People were actually telling me that DeVito can play. He's not. He can't. Shakira's open whenever you say. Lamar Jackson is more stacked than Lockheed Martin and Northrop combined. He's had a great season. He's had a great season, man. Trevor, if Saquon breaks the record, it may steal some votes. Alan, you have to. Saquon has had a ridiculous season. And I love how Nick Sirianni's sitting there saying, we're just going to give him a rest. He's not hurt. I mean, look, the guy got banged up. I mean, trust me, as a Giant fan, I know this. He'll go out a couple series. He'll miss a couple games here and there. He's had a brilliant season for the Eagles yesterday. If the Eagles are smart, okay, and that's the operative word, if they're smart, they're going to understand that they've raced out to this ridiculous record. They're already locked into playoffs. They're going to close out the NFCs. You look at their remaining schedule, they've got Washington, Dallas, and the Giants. If they are smart, you don't need to run the ball 35 times. You don't. They're going to give him a little bit of a rest and a blow and get him ready for the playoffs. If he's that close, I mean, how many yards? You guys look it up for me. How many yards? Saquon Barkley right now has 1688, right? So let me see. What are we looking at? What was the all-time season record? Was what? Okay. So Saquon has 1688. He's averaging $120 per game. That puts him around 2,050 yards for the season. So what's the... Somebody bail me out here, will you? What's the total? Eric Dickerson, right? What was it, 2105? So 2105... I mean, you guys are really friggin' helping me today. 2105. Is that 2105, right? And what did I say he has? 1688. So how many games are left? 3? Holy shit. Do I have to wake up the masses? How many games are left, Angel? 3? All right. So I'm talking, I'm alone here. Am I on a friggin' island? He would need to average 139 the last 3 games. That gets you to 417 plus 1688, and that's 2105. That would tie Dickerson. So he would need, obviously, one more. 727-858-6650. I mean, I feel like what was the line in the movie when he turns around and he goes, well, what am I alone here? Oh, The Untouchables. What am I alone here? Am I on an island? 727-858-6650. I'm going to say something that's going to bother a lot of people right now. I am going to bother people. Listen, I am going to say something that's going to bother a lot of people right now. If the Giants get the number 1 pick, I don't care about vibe or juice on Sunday. I don't. I care about wins. And I understand they're probably going to stink again next year. So right now, and I will go on record, and you guys can hold me to it, and I have no problem with that. It's December 16th. What is it? 5:25, 5:27 on the East Coast. If the Giants have a chance to draft Sanders or Hunter, who do you guys think I want? Who do you think I would what do you think I would prefer? Trading the top pick, drafting Sanders, or drafting Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner? What do you think, Angel? I'm waiting for you. What do you think? Oh, you did? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I apologize. Hold on. All right. No, I would trade. I would trade the number one draft pick. I would trade the number one draft pick. I would do it. And if I couldn't, let's just say in a world where you can't do that, you said pick one, I would pick Hunter. I would draft Hunter. I I've seen this too many times. I really have. Sanders can play. He's tough. He can play. And if he was drafted by the Giants, I want the kid to succeed. I felt this. I don't care. I don't have to like the pick. It's nothing personal, but I still want the team to succeed. When they drafted who they drafted, even when they drafted Jones, I wanted Jones to play well. I wanted Daniel Jones to succeed. I don't want to have bad football, but now I understand where they're at. And I also understand in today's NFL, if you swing and you miss, and I've debated this with guys that have covered the league for 40, 50 years. I've debated this with former GMs. I've debated this with players. You miss on a quarterback, I don't care what anyone tells me, you're screwed. You're screwed. You're giving up a couple years to figure it out. It was a miss with Daniel Jones. And now look, it cost Pat Shermer his job. It cost Joe Judge his job. It might cost Brian Dable his job, Joe Shane his job, Dave Gettleman his job. It was a bad draft pick. They overextended. It wasn't a good pick. It was a horrible pick. The kid can't play in New York. And they paid him based on one season. Can't draft a running back top 5. You can't. You just can't, because eventually you're going to have to pay some of these guys. It blew up in their face. My fear is if you draft Sanders, you're just not drafting Sanders. You are drafting Sanders and Dion. And we know Dion is a lightning rod, man. He is a lightning rod. Okay? And I'm not entirely sold on Shedeur Sanders as an NFL quarterback. I'm just not. Can the kid play? It's not out of fear. No, not at all. I fear nothing. I fear no man. Nothing, Vince. Get out of here with that nonsense. No fear. I'm speaking the truth. I'm telling you how I feel. And there have been so many misses. So many misses. So now all of a sudden, and this is what worries me the most, is that John Mara realizes I can't keep firing the head coach and the GM. I can't keep bringing in different guys. It's insanity. So now I'll let these guys make a decision, and I don't trust the GM. I don't think Sanders is going to blow everyone away in the NFL like everyone else does. I'm sorry, I just don't. Sometimes I look at a player and I have a gut reaction. My gut tells me I think Hunter can flat out play. I think the kid is a specimen. I think he's a lockdown, shutdown. Then you want to put him on offense here and there. I mean, think about the mental toughness, again, that this kid has to play both sides. There is no fear whatsoever. I just don't think my gut tells me Sanders is a bust. There, I said it. You happy? Go ahead. Go ahead. That's what I think. Dable got Belichick's son. Yes, he does. Yeah, I agree. And Dable, he's got to go. I don't trust John Mara right now, and I don't trust Joe Shane, and I'm being totally transparent. I've seen some quarterbacks burst on the scene in college, and I've also seen them turn the bus. The kid Sanders, he's a talented kid, but I don't need that distraction of the package deal. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. And quite frankly, I'm okay with a bridge quarterback for a couple years and keep building the roster and get assets. And I'm being 100. If they draft Sanders, I'll live with it. And I hope the kid flourishes. I don't have to like the draft pick. It's nothing personal. I remember when they turned around and they drafted Saquon, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. The most electric player in college. You don't draft a running back where they drafted a running back. It was a huge mistake. You don't. When they drafted Daniel Jones, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Even last year, if you guys remember, I was like, hey, Bo Nix. Hey, Jaden Daniels. I had no problem. Go take a flyer on those guys. Go ahead. Take a flyer on those guys. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And again, this is me because I'm 100%, maybe I'm too honest to a fault on the air sometimes with you guys because I think you guys deserve it. And I want to be honest. You go back to the 2018 draft, okay? Baker Mayfield, Saquon Barkley, Sam Darnold, and oh, by the way, at number 7, the quarterback that I wanted, that I text my buddies at the time screaming, Josh friggin' Allen. And where does Allen go? At number 7. What did the Giants do? They drafted Saquon Barkley because Dave Gettleman said, you're going to fit this kid in a gold jacket. He's been touched by the hand of God. And of course, his rookie season, he was phenomenal. But this is where everything went to shit with the Giants. And this is what football fans have to understand because every organization and franchise at one time or another goes through this. The Jets are going to find out the hard way. The Jets are looking at that game yesterday saying, you know what? Let's run it back with Aaron Rodgers. Let's run it back one more time with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers can still play. No, he's cooked. I don't care what he did yesterday, and he turned back the clock with Adams, who's a beast and had close to 200 yards, and they almost blew the game by not kneeling and running out the clock. And no. The Giants, when they drafted Saquon Barkley, again, you don't draft a running back second overall. You just don't. You don't. It was a colossal mistake. And then you realize it's special, but you're eventually going to have to pay him. And then he broke down and he got hurt and he missed a lot of time. But the Giants thought that they can squeeze a couple more years out of Eli Manning. And that was their big mistake. That year they went 5-11, if you remember. I mean, they had they were 1-2 and lost like 6 or 7 in a row. Because Dave Gettleman went back and he watched Eli Manning. He watched a little bit of Eli Manning around 2017, 2016, and he felt, hey, this guy can, he can still throw the football. And they never fixed the line. They never drafted in and worked out. And even though Eli hung around for a couple more years, it was inevitable. He was going to get benched or he was going to have to retire. That's the problem. And that's the fear that I have. So if you want to call it fear, jokingly, whatever, right? You can't be a quarterback for the Jets. I mean, there's only been a select few that have had really good careers. And the Jets are going to find that out. The Jets looked at that tape yesterday, and I guarantee you the next GM and head coach that comes in. And oh, by the way, Belichick, you guys laughed at me. I told you Belichick was going to flirt with the Jets just to flirt with the Jets. When the quarterback's done, the quarterback's done. And you got to friggin' move on. But I can't, as a fan, you can't keep taking swings and misses. You can't. This idea, just keep drafting the guy until you figure it out. You can't do that in the NFL. The Rams, Jared Goff. Doesn't work out. Here we go. Get rid of him. Now look at him. Baker Mayfield. Now look at him. Geno Smith resurrecting his career. Sam Darnold resurrecting career. How come those guys couldn't succeed with the teams they were drafted with? Was it coaching? Was it environment? Was it they weren't fulfilling their potential? Like, explain that to me. There's so many extraneous variables, so many factors that you have to take in consideration. And right now, I've seen enough. Trade the pick, get assets, or get a bridge quarterback. Like, the Vikings are not going to re-sign Sam Darnold. They're not. There's just too much money involved. So maybe Sam Darnold plays 3 or 4 years with the Giants. After a while, you get tired of bad football. And maybe part of it is I don't want to go through another rookie quarterback. It's not the player. Maybe I'm just tired of doing this where, you get you have horrible seasons. And as a fan, you're just like, I don't want to watch this anymore. Yeah, I understand. Not if you draft them overall. I understand you play on that rookie scale, but eventually these guys are going to want to get paid. I mean, come on. Use your noggin. These guys are going to want to get paid. Not every team can be like a San Francisco and find that Brock Purdy. I understand you pay these guys on rookie, and then what happens, right? When there's another flop. I'm so soured on the quarterback discussion when it comes to the Giants. I am. I'm so indifferent. They have to figure out what they're going to do with the GM and the head coach. And they keep losing like this. I don't know how you can justify those two keeping their jobs. So then as an owner of any team, whatever to insert team, like Vince, you're a Steelers fan. You've had the benefit of 3 friggin' head coaches, right? You went Noel, you went Cower, and now Tomlin. That's stability. The Giants went through McAdoo, Shermer, Judge, and now potentially Daboll. I mean, think about that. In what, 8 years? You're recycling. It's like you're going through the revolving door at the mall during Christmas time. No, I don't want that. You know the thing where you have to wait to everyone to push it, and then you go in and here we go. Oh, did I leave my scarf all the way around again? That's exactly what the Giants are doing. I don't want to deal with that anymore. I don't. There are other teams that are going to have to answer that question. We know that. No. I mean, listen, am I going to say no to a box at MetLife? I'm not. I don't need to see these planes anymore. And I get it. Bringing in these rookies, the contract, to some extent, it is cheaper. But again, Sam Darnold's showing that he's not unproven. Geno Smith, right? Baker Mayfield. These guys, Jared Goff, these guys are all reclamation projects. It can work in the NFL. It really can work in the NFL if you go about it the right way. Giants keep calling 2-2 on the hard fall with these. Yes, let's not get cocky. Yes. Yeah, exactly. To borrow a line from the Bronx Tale, was 2024 and the Giants suck, and I didn't care. Right? I mean, that's exactly what they're doing. You're rolling the dice, and they haven't drafted well. If you don't draft well in the NFL, you are in trouble. Say what you want about the Philadelphia Eagles. Howie Roseman has been able to manipulate the numbers perfectly, and their draft picks, for the most part, have hit. Kansas City, their draft picks have hit. The Lions were bad for a long time, brought in the right head coach, made the move for the franchise quarterback, and build that offensive line and the defense around. You build in and out, not out and in. That's what they did. Now, I know they're dealing with some injuries. Same thing with Buffalo. You get the right guys in place, the right GM, the right head coach. There are teams out there. There's a reason that New England is as bad as they are. And that head coach, I mean, if I'm Kraft today, I'm firing Gerard Mayo. This guy throws everyone under the bus. And I'll tell you this, if you're a Patriots fan, you don't want to keep this guy around. I know there's reports that they want to keep him. He has no clue what he's doing. I told you this in the beginning of the season. Go back and listen to the show. I said the Patriots are going to be a horrible team. They have one of the worst rosters and coaching staffs constructed in all the NFL. And this guy's throwing offensive coordinators, players under the bus. The Raiders, they're going to go through it with Antonio Pierce. He's done. Dallas will most likely get through it with Mike McCarthy. He's done. They've got issues. Who are you going to pay? You got all those players, Parsons, Lamb, Diggs, Dak. I mean, you sell your soul and you think you're going to win a championship and you don't. And now you're going on 2, 3, 4 years because you're not building the team the right way. You're in trouble. I know we mock a team like Carolina. I get it. And I know there are times where Bryce Young has regressed, but then he's looked like, okay, he can play a little bit. I'll say this right now. The one thing about the Carolina Panthers is that they seem to have somewhat of a plan. You might not believe it. I might not believe it, but they have somewhat of a plan. And if you watch, what are they doing? They're losing because they're not good, but they're showing that they play hard. They're showing that, okay, we have 1 or 2 wins or 3 wins or 4 wins. We're playing hard. That's a 10-7 game going into the half against a bad Dallas team. Okay, whatever. They're not on Dallas's level, but they're trying. They're putting it on film. They're trying to build a program the right way. The Commanders, for all those years, Washington lost 8 straight games to close out the season last year. If you recall, Rivera gone, Eric Bieniemy. I mean, look what's happened with Eric Bieniemy. How far has he fallen? He left Andy Reid, and here we go. Guys getting fired left and right. Let's bring in a defensive-minded head coach. Let's get rid of the toxic environment, new ownership. Here we go. You got a franchise quarterback. You got some guys that can play a little bit. And look, they're going to make the playoffs. Now, they might get bounced. Maybe they arrived a year early, but Washington's going to be a very hard team to beat over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. That's all it is. That's all it is. You build the roster the right way. And it's not by taking a running back number 2. Are there any generational O-linemen in college? One of mine, Giants trading out from the number 1 spot to get an O-line. That is a great point. You win in the NFL in the trenches. And the Giants, when they were winning in 2007 and 2011, they had a line. When the Eagles were making their runs back in the day, they had the defense, but they had one of the best offensive lines in football, and they still do. Kansas City, again, offensive line. It's pretty simple. We're not trying to, recreate the game of football. That's not what we're looking to do. Yeah, it's nice if you have a quarterback that can run around and make plays and that's athletic and scrambles. I mean, Lamar Jackson, it's a beautiful thing to watch. Patrick Mahomes, beautiful thing to watch. Josh Allen, Jared Goff, I'll stand in the pocket and I'll sling it. Jalen Hurts, at times, if you flush him out of the pocket the right way and he makes the right decision, he can beat you or he can make a mistake, but he's an athletic, tough quarterback. You build in and out. You can never have enough defensive linemen. You can never have enough edge rushers. You can never have enough pass rushers. You can never have enough. What's the most important position in football? It's the freaking left tackle. Protecting the quarterback, man. We know the quarterback touches the ball the most, but it's the left tackle. Like if you have a left tackle that's an all-pro for 10 years, chances are you got a pretty good offensive line. Chances are you're going to be able to run football. All the fans, all the guys that joke with me, oh man, look what Saquon's doing. He's not doing that behind the Giants' offensive line. He's not. It's a product of the Eagles' offensive line. And he's been able to exploit that and put up ridiculous numbers. But again, you don't win in the NFL. The quarterback touches the ball the most. But if you're asking me right now, you need a left tackle. Yes, we know the quarterback is the most scrutinized, under the microscope, important player in the NFL. But right next to it is the friggin', come on, don't break balls. It's right there. It is the left tackle. The left tackle's got to protect the quarterback. If you don't have the offensive line, I don't care who's back there is my point. I don't care who's back there. Give me the 2 or 3 best offensive lines right now in football. Go ahead. 2 or 3 of the best offensive lines in football as we speak. And I'll give you a quarterback that's in the MVP conversation. You going to tell me Kansas City doesn't have a good offensive line? You going to tell me Buffalo doesn't have a good offensive line? Detroit doesn't have a good offensive line? The Philadelphia Eagles, it seems as though they've had a great offensive line for the last 25 years. All those quarterbacks are in the MVP conversation. Now give me a shitty offensive line. The Giants, Carolina, Jacksonville, the Jets. Come on. There you go. Eagles, Lions, Bills. What do they all have in common? You got an all-world quarterback right there playing at high levels. There you go. Exactly. So, yes, we know the franchise is built around the quarterback, but you need a line. And there are teams that have not solidified an offensive line. They haven't done it because they don't know how to draft. Or every time they're signing a marquee player, what happens? They give them all this money and it doesn't work. I mean, Andrew Thomas looked like he was invincible. Now all of a sudden he's hurt. Evan Neal, that was a horrible wasted pick. You know, I'm sorry. You can't always turn around and have the, you know, the Kelseys and the Lane Johnsons of the world. Right? Or those Jets offensive lines for years. Or the Dallas offensive line for years. Or Denver, when they just inserted any type of running back, whether it was Anderson Gray or Orlando Scary, and they run for 1,000 yards. So to answer Madman's point, yeah, listen, you want to take a flyer on an offensive lineman or you want to trade the pick and build, I don't have a problem with that. But I think because everything now is the highlights, social media. Here we go. Look, Travis Hunter is a fantastic player. Fantastic. That's not bad. No. Yeah, you can't get me started on that either. I wish they can draft well. I mean, listen, Theo Johnson, Malik Neighbors, Tracy, that's not a bad class this year for the Giants. But Travis Hunter is an exceptional athlete, man. I mean, think about the type of conditioning and like just the stamina. You're a two-way star, man. And I'll pull up the mock draft right now. And you guys tell me, I typically go USA Today. I'll go CBS for a second. Ready? I didn't even mention this name. So CBS has the Giants drafting Cam Ward. Sanders has pretty much made it known he wants to go to the Raiders. So the Raiders draft him at 2. And then the Patriots draft Travis Hunter 3. Now, this is where it gets interesting. A D lineman goes 4, an edge rusher goes 5, and then your first tackle off the board is the kid from Tennessee at number 7. And then Campbell, which is another tackle out of, where'd that kid go? I'm sorry. It escapes me for a moment. LSU. Thank you. LSU. So there you go. Cam Ward, Giants take a flyer on Cam Ward. It's never personal with the player per se. If I don't like a player, I don't like a player. Or if I don't like a player's game. I remember years ago, everyone was talking about Josh Rosen. Remember, I was on the radio and I flat out said he is going to be a friggin' bust. And he turned out to be a bust. Now, to be fair, I also, when the Bears traded down for Mitch Trubisky, I also said, well, if they believe in their convictions, then you got to back the move. And Trubisky turned out to be a bust. So sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes the bear eats you. It's a crapshoot. It is. It is a crapshoot. That's all it is. Like, you can't tell me today that it's guaranteed that you draft this kid, you're going to get your RI. If you draft a quarterback in the top 10 and he's a franchise quarterback, and we all define franchise quarterback differently. If he lasts 10 plus years, you win a couple divisions, you're happy. He lasts 10 plus years, you win a couple divisions, you win a couple playoff games, not bad. He lasts 10 plus years, you win divisions, you win playoff games, you win Super Bowls. That's a return on your investment. That's a return on your investment. By the way, as far as the rest of the action yesterday, Cincinnati, did you see Joe Burrow? I mean, Joe Burrow wants out of Cincinnati. I would trade my number 1 pick if I'm the Giants right now for Joe Burrow or Josh Allen. Period. Said it. Chiefs got by Cleveland 21-7. Mahomes a little nicked up in that one. Maria talked about Washington. We told you Baltimore rolls over the Giants. The Jets, the Jets actually got a win. Adams went off. Jacksonville, I don't know what they're going to do with Trevor Lawrence, but we talked about these coaches on the hot seat. Doug Peterson's done. He's gone. Dolphins with a really bad loss yesterday. Their playoff hopes. Titans regroup a little bit. Colts with a bad playoff loss. We talk about quarterbacks and head coach. How about the job that Sean Payton has done in Denver? We're talking about MVP. You want to talk about coach of the year? You can make a case for Sean Payton. They got rid of Russell Wilson. He had to deal with the Russell Wilson experiment. It didn't work out. You draft Bo Nix. Denver's going to make the playoffs. Bills and Lions. I told you I did not like Campbell going for the onside kick down 10 with 12 minutes to go. Eagles, very impressive win at home against the Steelers. The Cardinals beating up on New England. New England, again, they'll have a top 5 draft pick. We gave a little love to the Bucks. Packers, I didn't even watch that game last night. I was counting sheep. I saw that Green Bay absolutely just toasted Seattle. And then you have tonight. If you're an Eagles fan, if you're a Lions fan, you're pulling for the Bears. You want the Bears to beat the Vikings. The Vikings might backdoor everyone and get the number 1 seed in the NFC. They might. It's going to be a hell of a race. Let me give you the last games closing it out. So Minnesota has Chicago, Seattle, the Packers, and the Lions. We'll say they go 3-1. That gets you to 14-3. And the loss, mind you, was to the Lions to close out the season. By the way, they should have flexed that Detroit-Buffalo game last night, but that's besides the point. I don't know if they were out of flexing with those teams. Detroit is 12-2. They have the Bears win, 49ers win, and then they have the Vikings to close out the season. Let's get to the Eagles. Eagles have what? Washington, right? The Eagles have Washington, Dallas, and the Giants. Those are all winnable games. Now, if the Eagles are locked up, I guess the only argument for Saquon playing and trying to break the record, he goes off on the next 2 weeks. And if they need to win to get the number 1 seed, because if you look at the standings right now with these teams, it'll go conference-wise. You have to look at the conference record. So as it stands right now, Detroit and Philly, they're both 12-2. But the Lions are 9-1 in the conference, and the Eagles are 7-2. And you know what game the Eagles are going to kick themselves? When they lost to Atlanta. That was week 2, I believe. So those 2 teams and Minnesota. Can Minnesota go to Philly and beat the Eagles? Can Philly go to Minnesota and beat the Vikings? Yeah. Can Detroit go into Philly and beat the Eagles? Can the Eagles go in Detroit and beat the Lions? I'm not when we talk home field, I think when you get to the championship games, anything could happen, man. I really do. Giants beat Green Bay in the NFC Championship in Green Bay. Giants went on the road and beat San Francisco in the NFC Championship. I'm just using those examples. How many AFC Championships did the Steelers lose at home, right? I mean, I think it's tougher to have to go to Arrowhead. I think it'll be tougher to go to Buffalo in the AFC in January. But I still believe that Allen's the MVP right now, and Buffalo is the team to beat in the whole NFL. Do you concur with that, Angel, as we are getting ready to close it out? There you go. Excellent contribution. That's all you got? Oh, well, yes, you know what? You want to hold off for Friday? You'll announce it when? Wednesday? All right, so you announce it in your show Wednesday. All right, I'll announce it on Wednesday. We call that a teaser in the business. Did you watch Army Navy? That was a good game. Did you watch the Heisman?
I end up watching it. I don't know. Maybe everybody else can kind of interject as well. Is it too long just to find out who becomes the Heisman Trophy
Yeah, I mean,
winner?
it's the build up. It is kind of annoying, to be honest with you. It is. It is.
Because it's not like there's no like it's different. If there was something at the very end of it, pow, something that just
Yeah.
makes you like, all right, I knew it was gonna be Travis, but it's like, let's go to this person, let's go to
Yeah.
that
No,
person.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I don't know why all of a sudden, we get an unbelievable comment. I mean, I need context to that. Madman says Cam Ward will be an NFL star.
Yeah.
Follows up with unbelievable. So obviously we must have said something or something wasn't said that haven't watched Heisman. Oh, like a bad cliffhanger from the 90s shows. Haven't watched Heisman ceremony since high school. You know what's pretty unique about the Heisman?
That it's on display.
No. So, you know who hosts the Heisman is Chris Fowler.
Right.
Chris Fowler is a well-known, obviously, announcer, broadcaster for ESPN. What's interesting is that that's his niche right now. Like, that is his niche, and tennis is his niche, but college football is his niche or his niche. He started out in TV back in Denver, but then he used to do a show that I used to religiously watch on ESPN called Scholastic Sports America. It lasted, I think, a season or two. And from that, though, he was able to turn around and parlay that into college football
The other thing,
and be a big name in college football.
when you mentioned, hold on,
I will lose sleep not knowing we need the scoop. Nope, got to turn in Wednesday. That's what we do. The moment with Prime and Travis was truly beautiful. Got to admit that. Yeah, it was a nice moment. Listen, Dion is Dion, man. How do you not like Dion? Oh, by the way, shout out Randy Moss. Had the health scare, but shout out, good to see him fighting the good fight with that. I definitely wanted to make a point of bringing that up. Fowler has the best toupee since Marv Albert. That's unnecessary. Must have got it from Maury.
By the way, the Army Navy game,
Yeah.
I guess Navy decided to show up. I don't know what in the world happened to Army. Should have been a much more exciting game as like just a.
Navy had, listen, there were 2 or 3 big plays in the game.
Yeah.
There were 2 or 3 big plays in the game. And obviously, they belong to Navy. That game wasn't even close. 31-13.
Yeah. Maybe because they played down there in FedEx Field. Maybe that was the whole thing. They didn't like it.
No. They played in Landover before.
I know. But it's, yeah.
They didn't. I don't even think the quarterbacks combined for 13 completions.
I don't think so either. That's
Would Navy rush for like 270?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. We'll hold the announcement till Wednesday. We'll keep you guys at bay. All right. 727-858.
Or join me and Beav the next hour, and who knows?
Well, no, but no. I can't give my announcement on another show. That's absurd. That's
You roll with it. You said it was the teaser. I see. I'm trying to create the tease.
But my personal with stuff, that's on a Wednesday. See what you're doing right now? As soon as I'm getting off the air, this is what you do. Whether it's my live reads or getting ready to go to break, you have to just interject. The head looks not as small today. I will say that.
Well, I did say because I had to change a thing or two, and that's why it's not as small.
You will be able to watch Lloyd's show tonight on my YouTube channel as well. Lloyd Vance's Insider Football at 8:00.
Yes.
So you got Jay coming up, and then you got Lloyd at 7.
All right.
All right. We got to start wrapping up. We'll give you guys a little. Yes.
What? Hey, I learned from the best.
Yeah. No. What? Whoa. My feet are clean, brother. Who you had to say that? All right. You got Jay shows coming up. Lock it in. He's always entertaining. Him and Angel will take you up to what's that? 7:00, and then you got Lloyd at 8.
Yep.
Lloyd Vance's Insider Football. I'm wondering what the doctor will be wearing tonight, what hat, and I'm sure he'll break down all the games. He'll give you his game ball, his lackey, and then he'll preview Monday Night Football. And I told you who I kind of like tonight, Vikings. It's a little high of a line at 7, but I like Minnesota. And then as much as I want to take the Falcons, we need the Raiders to win to get to 3 wins, so it helps the Giants out when it comes to Tankathon. All right, everyone have a good Sports Monday. Oh, by the way, tomorrow I will say this. We're going to try to run a test. So we're going to try just the audio version of the Drive with Q on SR 1029 FM, the game audio version on our website. So you can download the app. I'll tweet it out. I'll put it out on X, on Facebook as well. The audio version, and then Wednesday, the video version. And then, of course, Friday as well, the video version. Just to let you know, we want the eyeballs creeping to SR 1029 FM, the game. All right, brother. You have a wonderful rest of the night. Appreciate everyone always chiming in with the comments and the texts and the tomfoolery, if you will. As always, a Drive with Q brought to you by Zen Auto Concepts. Play it again, sports, fresh roasted coffee. Check out the show notes, BYP20, 20% off your first purchase. Have a good Sports Monday. We will talk to you audio-wise, mañana, on a Tuesday edition of the Drive with Q. As always, hasta luego, buen día.